With the release of the new and highly anticipated anime adaptation of the fated manga series Riddle of Healer by the infamous author Ryu's Keyaru comes waves of fans overjoyed that they finally get to watch all their favorite scenes compacted into a beautifully animated and well-written anime series. Is what I might have been saying upon release if this show wasn't so damn boring. In all reality, the release of this thing exposed a developing pattern within current trending anime which is kinda getting worrying. There's always been a clear line between actual anime and more PG-13 content. Watch the first for the story, interesting concept, pleasing animation, etc. While you watch the latter for, the plot. Or at least that was the meme surrounding it for years until that meme suddenly became a weird reality. It seems that supposed clear line is continuously being blurred as time progresses, to the point of it being almost unrecognizable. Riddle of Healer represents what I believe to be the amalgamation of basically all the issues I have with shows in its category, all wrapped together in a nice cum-covered bow. An issue not exclusive to this, but rather the sign of an overarching problem. So, if you'd like to know what exactly I'm talking about, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. As I said, Riddle of Healer is classified as an anime according to Wikipedia, but if you sat down to watch just even the first episode, you'll realize that calling it that is a little deceiving. Sure, we've had anime that pushes the boundaries, but this is completely different. The show's basically about a guy who, on his birthday, is magically granted the title of hero. The following day, the firstborn of the royal family, Princess Flare, hero of magic, takes the boy to the king's palace. Don't let this painfully generic fantasy plot distract you though, because soon after his arrival, it all goes downhill. His first person assigned to heal was a warrior who lost her arm in a recent battle, but as he soon finds out, there's always a downside. And in this case, that downside is that along with the power to literally heal anyone with a pulse, he also has to feel the injuries that person sustained, as well as receiving their memories. And predictably, once healing the woman, his mind fills with the pain of getting his arm lopped off, which made him pass out. This is where the facade of the princess is unveiled, revealing her irritably rotten personality and complete disregard for the people she sees as beneath her. Literally witnessing a man writhe on the ground, frothing from the mouth after growing back a woman's arm, but instead of any sign of empathy, she dismisses his abilities solely on the fact that he didn't brush off the pain. Anyways, long story short, he lives his life as a prisoner to the monarchy, is force-fed copious amounts of drugs for him to continue to serve the other heroes in battle, and not just in healing, as well as being repeatedly
touched in a non-consensual context
by palace staff with the intent to boost their own levels off the magical properties of the main character, Keyaru's bodily fluids. Because who would have known that the kid from some small village out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere would decline the palace's humble offer to be in constant agony while on the job, hence the drug use. But after a while, he builds a resistance to those drugs, therefore the small amount of relief for his pain slowly fades, searing the memories of abuse from the other heroes and knights and general palace staff into his mind, and perhaps his very soul. And soon, the big battle against the infamous Demon King arrives. They fight a tough battle, but are in desperate need of healing. At this moment, our main character takes advantage of the situation to, and get this, kill the Demon King himself. Because what we didn't know about Keyaru is that he had another ability along with his healing power, memory absorption, and magical kun. You see, every single time he was forced to heal a high-ranking warrior or wizard, he also gained the powers of those people. So at this point, he was capable of defeating the Demon King himself, which he swiftly does as whoever left breathing watches in awe, and from that he acquires the Philosopher's Stone. While this was happening, the princess had taken the opportunity to heal herself with a potion she had luckily been carrying on her person, and once healed, confronting Keyaru with the intention to take the stone. This is when his true plans are revealed. To get his revenge, he would use the power of the stone to reverse time before he was taken to the kingdom, so he could truly enact his revenge without the others knowing that he'd be coming for them, which Princess Flare knew would put her in an extremely unfavorable position. But no matter how hard she tried, it was too late for her to prevent this. Keyaru's plan was already set in motion. Hentai and anime have some crossovers, that's for sure, but despite this, they've always been treated as their own separate forms of entertainment.
Hate covering pussy.
However, as I've said in the last couple of years, there's been a sharp incline in quote anime that teeters the line between those two genres. I have three main examples that I'd like to briefly go over that range from good use of adult content to literally 90% of your show is censored, but of course this video is mainly focusing on Reader of Healer since it's the most recent example of this issue. Now that you're caught up on the basic premise of the show, let's have a look at the problem. What's the reason you watch hentai? The art and story is generally pretty shitty compared to its counterpart, and the risk of accidentally downloading 5 terabytes of Chinese malware is always difficult to avoid. I think to everyone watching this video, it's pretty clear what that answer is. To bust a nut. Compare this to why you watch anime. Again, it's generally for the concept or story, maybe a manga adaptation, etc. The point is, you don't coom where you eat, which is where Reader of Healer went wrong. It uses its harsh content to distract the viewer from its extremely generic fantasy story. Almost nothing this show does is unique. Even its gory and sexually charged scenes have already been done in shows like Goblin Slayer. The only thing that's different is that this show was supposed to be made up of scenes like Goblin Slayer's beginning. And being completely honest, this as a concept, although very lazy, would be very successful, especially with how sensitive public platforms like Twitter are. A show like this would be catapulted to the top of trending. And if that's your game plan, then sure, go for that. But the show's first major fault resides here. They didn't commit. The first 2 episodes, I would say, live up to what it was supposed to be, and honestly, I thought that the writers did a pretty good job at setting up the reasoning for the revenge plot. But after that, it gets pretty stagnant. There's too much story for it to be a hentai, and there's too much hentai for it to be an anime. And when you try making something that does 2 different things, you just end up making a product that does 2 things wrong, rather than just focusing on one genre and doing it well. And I'm not saying you can't mix these 2 genres, it's just crucial that you find the right balance, which I'll talk about in a bit. Let's talk about the story for a second. It's boring. Really boring. If you go into this with the intention to watch it like any other fantasy anime, you're going to be sorely mistaken. The abrupt and random sex scenes will knock you out of any immersion built up throughout the episode. And don't even try to watch it like a hentai. The format of like a generic episode of this show is like 5 minutes of hentai that adds nothing to the story, followed by like 12 minutes of mind-numbing boringness about some side character you couldn't care less about, and concluded with another 5 minutes of a hentai scene with that side character, or if you're lucky, a revenge scene with one of the other heroes, or just someone who pissed off Keyaru in the past. And I shit you not, this goes on for 12 fucking episodes. At the end of the day, this is just another story that could have been a semi-interesting concept ruined by low-effort execution. Alright, so I'd like to take a bit of time to talk about my 2 other examples, Domestic Girlfriend and Interspecies Reviewers. The reason I chose these 2 specific shows is that they're good examples of how to mix hentai themes with an anime story, but they're also polar opposites in their theme. Domestic Girlfriend is a more serious slice of life story, while Interspecies Reviewers is a comedy revolving around a bunch of medieval-aged Yelp reviewers visiting as many brothels as humanly possible. And what's important to take note from this is that regardless of your story's theme, unless it's catered towards kids, you can always use adult scenes in that story. However, it should be used as a tool to emphasize your plot, not a crutch to cover up your lack of it. These shows are successful in their own executions because they follow this rule. If you're writing a story, focus on the actual story, not the amount of healer bussy. If you really want to make an anime focused around sex, just make a hentai. And with that final line, thanks for watching, consider subbing if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.